What's up, teammates, and welcome to Gold Diggers Youth. Here we discuss stories of leadership and motivation using sports as a metaphor, dedicated for daily grinders, go-getters, and everyday athletes. I'm Vince Velasco.
And I am Luisa Tagulino, and we are your resident gold diggers. I think I'm really excited and looking forward to what we have for today because of last week's episode where we had Chloe Daos and Sacho Ilustre, who talked about how discipline and consistency are solutions or perhaps the secrets to their success. And of course, how important it is to have a good support system, which I think is really helpful in these trying times. Am I right, Vince?
Absolutely. And if you want to catch what Luisa just said, don't worry, it's all up on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube, so you won't miss out on anything. But going back to today, for today we have with us two amazing athletes who share the same household, and that doesn't happen very often. First, we have Christopher Wong, a multi-medaled NCAA swimming champion from De La Salle College of St. Benilde, who recently won both the 50-meter freestyle and 50-meter butterfly events in the PSI Swimming National Selection Meet. Now, these achievements serve as a step in his goal to represent the Philippines in international competitions.
And of course, today's episode is truly star-studded because with him is his sister, a three-time SEA Games gold medalist, 2018 Asian Games bronze medalist, and the current face and darling of Philippine Wushu. Everybody, please put your hands together for siblings Agatha and SEB Wong.
Woo!
Hello! There we go.
Luis, I'm gonna let you get started because wow, this is gonna be a good one today. Siblings, that doesn't always
I know.
happen.
Yeah, I really was so amazed when I found out that we were gonna have them today because you really don't see that very often. I mean, I want to have that household, I want to see what happens. I want to keep up with the Wongs, I guess. So
with the Wongs.
Yeah, I know.
That might be a new show.
Yes, they really do deserve it. Because I want to keep up with them, maybe we can ask them first, what have you guys been up to lately? So maybe we can ask Agatha first. Agatha, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I just recently started a YouTube channel. I think I started it less than 2 weeks ago because I found that video editing has really been my hobby. I actually like just being creative with thumbnails and just putting subtitles and other fun text on my videos. So that's one of my new hobbies this year. And then, yun, kakatapos ko lang ng online competition ko, which was last month. And then, I'm preparing to get the results of my next online competition next month.
Wow. Super productive.
I don't know how you manage a whole day.
Yeah.
Luisa, I don't know how you manage I don't
you have
know.
to keep up with them, I guess.
Keeping up with, I think, like you said, keeping up with the Wongs. But Seb, I know you are equally, if not busier. So what have you been up to? Training also and your hobbies at home now?
Well, aside from training, I've been focused on my studies. I've recently taken up masters in DLSU, and earlier this month, I just finished a competition. So, yeah, that's what's been happening.
Well, I do have to ask though, since both of you are, before we get to some of the other stuff, I'm sure Luisa wants to ask, what do you guys do to sort of unwind? Because I'm sure everything is so intense, and given that things have changed in the pandemic, I know you always want to train and your lifestyle has changed. But what do you guys do to unwind? Is there a new hobby you picked up? Is there, aside from, of course, YouTube, which I'm sure you're very good at by this point, because we've been doing this for about 2 years now. Is there anything else in particular? Seb, I'll start with you.
I play online games with my friends, so that takes my mind off like training and academics. It's refreshing, really.
Okay, I have to ask what games though, because I also play games. By any chance, do you play 2K, Valorant, anything like that?
Dota and COD.
Oh wow, okay, I'm terrible at those games, but maybe we can play sometime.
Sure.
Agatha, what about you?
Actually, for me, I really emphasize on video editing kasi bago lang siya for me. I've been editing videos since early last year, but I'm not really good at it. And then I suddenly just thought of, like, when I woke up one morning, very random, when I woke up one morning less than 2 weeks ago, like, sabi ko, I'll just make a YouTube channel. And then I made it. And then I didn't know what content to put out. And then by chance, I was preparing for a shoot for an online competition which just ended last month. Sabi ko, why don't I vlog about it? And then yun, I just started putting my videos together and then trying to find the transitions that fit right. And then I found it very calming and relaxing for me. Like, I wasn't at all under a lot of stress while I was editing it. I wasn't really catching up on deadlines. So, yun talagang na-discover kong bagong hobby ko.
Yeah. Sounds super cool because, come on, let's be real. I gotta reveal myself. I actually found those videos online. I came across them and I found the athlete diaries. Am I right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was super cool to see it because it was so different from what we already know in the sports arena. It's a whole new different game already, having to do things online. And I found it super cool because we got to see how the sports landscape has adjusted, and it was so cool to see it from your perspective. So thank you so much for helping us keep up with you as well.
But Luisa, it's also really nice to see because if you look at what they both did, for example, in Seb's case, unwinding playing video games and stuff like that, there are actually a lot of skills that you can pick up from video games.
Yeah.
And I know I'm personally biased because I play video games.
I can tell.
But also in Agatha's case, I mean, it's the way I hear it is you're into the creative process, but yet something that's also very technical, and that speaks about being an athlete. Because for some reason, whenever you talk to an athlete, there's always something that they want to do that's either creative, expressive, or technical.
Yeah.
So whether that's doing another hobby that's something they learn from, or whether it's something that they have more skills to. But before we get into all these other hobbies and stuff, it started somewhere. So we have to jump straight into childhood because you both live under the same roof. And me, I have a sibling. I know how competitive it can get. Just running to one place to another. How did your sports journey start? I want to start with Seb.
It started usually our parents planned swimming and a few martial arts to waterproof us and for us to learn self-defense. But the thing is, if I have to take swimming, she has to take swimming. If she has to take self-defense, I have to
Package
take
deal.
self-defense. Yeah, it's a package deal.
So it started there.
Yeah, it started there, basically.
What about
Okay.
you, Agatha?
Well, yun yung sinabi ni Seb. Actually, I was the first one to take swimming lessons because 11 months yung agwat namin. So, Seb had to watch me first from the area where you usually watch your kids like swim, right? So yun, dun ako natuto because our dad is a swimmer. So he wanted us to at least know how to swim. Pero he didn't really know na we would get up to this point na Seb would be a swimmer, I would be a wushu athlete, ganun.
Wow.
Grabe,
Okay.
everybody's so athletic, no? Sobrang gifted talaga yung mga tao dyan sa bahay nyo. Anong ulam nyo? Bakit parang everybody's so engaged?
Oo nga.
Diba? Parang I wanna see what's going on in that house. But like, so let us know, like, what was it like in that household? Was there competition between the two of you? Because, you know, parang for me as well, I also have my siblings, and especially with you guys, na your gap isn't that far. That could be times, diba, na you see each other as the competition, you wanna one up one another. So were there any instances of that happening? Maybe we can start off with Seb.
Yeah, since we started with the same sports, we started to compete with each other who swam better, who did the perfect form better, you know, whose coach's favorite, the simple stuff really. So yun, it started there.
Gusto ko yung who was coach's favorite. Na-discover ba nila? Was it a subjective choice? Maybe we can ask Agatha as well. Let's see the other side of the competition. How was that competition for you?
For me, since Seb is a guy, tas I'm a girl, usually the guys are stronger than girls. So,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm not personally, in everyday life, hindi naman ako, I think, ganun ka-competitive. Like, for example, if I play an online game, I'm not that competitive. So, I think it applies to my everyday life. Even though Wushu is such a competitive individual sport, hindi siya lumalabas sa personality ko na parang, Seb won this, I should win this as well. I don't really think about that. It's more of we celebrate each other's victories, and I've always grown up as like behaving like that. I don't know why. I don't know where I got it from. Pero ganun lang talaga yung mindset ko in life.
Not me.
But
I wanted to
that's,
win
that's
AF.
really nice. Sorry, what's that, Seb?
You know?
I wanted to win so bad.
Yeah.
Honest siya, honest.
At least honest, diba?
Yeah.
We can all relate to that. But I do want to ask you both something, because this family dynamic, it is very helpful in a household like that, because you're always able to push each other better. And for example, in Seb's case, wanting to win, that's a good drive also that your sister sees. And in Agatha's case naman, you basically point out that you move forward by lifting each other up and you celebrate each other. So it's a really good dynamic. But when did that dynamic sort of evolve between the both of you? Because because I had a sibling, and when we were in grade school, that was the most competitive we ever were. But by the time we got to high school and college, and our gap isn't that far also, it's only about a year and a half, a little less. So that's when it evolved for us, because we were maturing na, we knew we could go further if we helped each other out. When did that happen for both of you? Let's start with Agatha this time.
Actually, hindi ko napansin yung phase na yun, to be honest. Kasi by the time na we were in, I guess, late grade school, early high school, I was leaning more on wushu na. Tapos Seb was still doing football. Hindi pa siya ganun ka-active, I think, sa swimming. Yung swimming niya, it started medyo late. So, but I was still doing swimming that time. Pero I found out siguro na I realized na nagda-die na yung passion ko for swimming. And yung swimming kasi, since pabilisan siya, I'm not really that competitive in person. So parang I didn't really see the point of swimming anymore for me, competing in swimming. So parang mas gusto ko yung talagang sa wushu talaga ako, like ever since. When the pandemic started, as an example, parang na-realize ko na, I don't want to train, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Pero after competing in siguro mga 3 online competitions, bumalik yung spark sa heart ko na parang, I still want to do better, I still want to improve, like not only for the Philippines but also for myself. So I guess yun yung parang pagka-competitive namin ni Sab, it's more on self-achievements. Hindi siya more on towards each other. Hindi siya versus each other. It's more of together. Yeah.
So, ang tanong, does Seb have the same answer?
Oh my God. Magkakaalaman tayo.
Magkakaalaman na tayo dito, Seb.
So yeah, just like my sister said, we both have different sports. So we can't really compete who's better. We can't really know who's better. So what we do, well, I'm still competitive, obviously, and I want to have more achievement as my sister, and as my older sister that's won multiple gold medals. That pushes me to be better and train harder, as a person and as an athlete.
I'm sure Luisa has a few things to ask for keeping up with the Wongs.
Grabe, parang baka naman in-expect na nila talaga na, I'm gonna be keeping up with the Wongs na, guys. I'm not gonna stalk you guys naman. I'm just really interested about this dynamic. Because, yeah, you were talking about how you guys had your own world because you were both into sports, but you didn't end up going to the same sport. So, was it kind of still a competition when you ventured into wushu already and then you went into swimming? Like, did the dynamic change when the sport changed as well? Like, did you kind of start to drift apart in terms of being super competitive with each other because you have your own thing already? Or was it still there? Maybe we can start with Agatha.
I think for me, si Sab kasi he's done wushu na before. So, when he sees someone, like when he sees another athlete from another country compete, alam na niya kaagad kung magaling siya or hindi. Kasi he's done wushu na before. Sometimes kasi when people haven't seen what wushu is like, sometimes they think na someone with an average form is already good versus someone with a good form is also good. Parang ganun. But with us kasi, we mostly just siguro like we comment about each other's performances na parang kunwari ako, natisod ako kunwari. Knock on wood. Kunwari natisod ako. And then like he says, ba't ka na off balance or something like that. Ganun. Tapos when he swims not like when he doesn't break his own record, I point it out. Like we tease each other about these kinds of things. Parang, ang bigat mo naman, sir, ba't ka hindi parang ganun. So that's the fun of it. Yeah, that's the fun of it. I swear. As siblings, that's how we tease each other, and then that's how we make sports fun then for each other. Kahit na we're in different sports. We still find these little things about it.
I'm so sorry. I'm having flashbacks. I'm just having
reliving the moments. Anong masasabi mo dun, Seb, na tinatanong ka kung mabigat ka? What's your reaction pag ginaganon ka ng ate mo?
That's what she usually says. Parang sinasabi pa nga niya, bagal, malumulubog ka na. Parang ganun.
No.
She says that a lot.
I see.
Ate.
But it's really interesting that they know kasi they have a background of each other's sports. So they're able to nitpick each other even if they're in different sports na. But I think it's really good kasi you're getting constructive criticism from somebody that knows you well. So you're able to understand it more and accept it more. So it pushes you to, one day get your sister to say na very good ka today.
And actually, it validates it also, diba, Luisa?
Yeah.
Because since they both have backgrounds in each other's sports, at least when they're given praise, they know it's genuine. Because they're saying, okay, we know what you're doing. But that sort of leads me to asking my next question, because it's not every day that siblings in the same household have backgrounds in multiple sports. Would you say that helped you in the current sport that you have now, Seb, having a background in other sports before you got into the sport you're now?
Yeah.
I think it helped because it helped me become more athletic, more endurance. Mas lalo na sa pool, it's an endurance game, it's a race. So I think when I tried football, it helped with my legs. When I tried my sister's sport, I became slightly flexible. So it really helped.
What about you, Agatha?
I think for me kasi it allowed me to realize what I liked and what I didn't like. Even though I didn't really try every sport, na-realize ko na, okay, I don't like this sport kasi I feel like it's not for me, or parang I feel like this sport fits my personality so well and I'm very comfortable doing it, Dun ko siya, I think yun yung advantage of like letting your child try different sports. Parang as they grow, they're gonna eventually realize na which ones they like, which ones they don't like. Yun.
Oof. It's so easy to talk to both of them, Luisa.
Yeah, diba? Parang what I got from that is that parang through sports, you also get to know yourself more and understand your strengths and weaknesses and not see those weaknesses as like a weakness, but a learning ground for you to see what you can improve on and what you're most comfortable doing so that you can grow, so that you can work on what you're already good at. So it's really interesting because you don't just learn things for the physical self, but also in your inner self as well.
Yeah, and coming from that sort of backgrounds, coming from that household, you both can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I sort of want to just summarize this first part, especially about living it together in the same household. So from how we understand it, I guess it's family dynamic is a very big factor in pushing each other forward, and healthy competition can actually work. Aside from that, having an understanding of where each other is coming from is a very key factor in growing your relationship, not just with yourself, but the sport that you have right now. And I don't know if that's just me, but medyo nainggit ako sa household nyo. Parang gusto ko. Medyo matanda na ako magpa-adopt, pero paano mo pwede
Yeah.
sa...
Pero grabe talaga, Vince, because parang what we learned from them so far is that competition doesn't have to be doesn't have to have a negative connotation.
True.
Negative. It could be a healthy thing. It could be something that helps you grow. And based on their answers so far and their little stories, they have a healthy kind of competition in the family, in the household, and they wouldn't be the athletes that they are today if it weren't for that competition.
True, and it really helps that, like we go back to earlier, knowing each other's backgrounds. Now, we're just talking about knowing each other's backgrounds and knowing each other's sports. Can you both share possibly one specific story where one or the other lifted you up, especially at the time when you really were down? And I ask this question because it's different when somebody knows kasi where you're coming from. Iba eh.
Yeah.
Iba yung encouragement na kaya mo yan, walang tatalo sa'yo sa future and all that stuff. But the fact that you guys both have an understanding of each other's sports, was there ever like one moment where, was it a pat on the back or kwento or onting jab, onting tease that push you forward? Start with Seb. Did your sister ever do something like that for you?
For me, I can't recall really, but I remember doing I think it's before her event sa SEA Games. She was really nervous. She wanted to get it over with. Tapos sabi ko, bilisan mo na lang kasi nagugutom na ako. Tapos,
Sorry.
No!
Sorry.
Oh my
Tapos,
god.
Classic
she
magkapatid.
was stiff. She was stiff. So akala ko I would like just lighten the mood na lang.
But that goes so far. Really, really good shot. Oh my God. Gagamitin ko yun, Seb. Permission. We can be permission.
Go ahead.
But, Agatha, so what about you? Was there something like that? Komedyante pala to si Seb eh.
Guys, alam nyo, pag si Seb, basta pagkain, yun yung priority niya.
Ayan.
I swear. As in, you know what,
Nakakaaminan
I
na.
love food. We both love food, right? And then sometimes I would order something, which is obviously mine, kasi kahit nawala yung pangalan ko dun sa pagkain na yun, alam naman ni Seb na pag may pagkain sa lamesa and he didn't order it, he shouldn't eat it. But that's the opposite in our house. Pag meron siyang nakita kung wari picnic sa lamesa, kakainin niya yan. Okay, he doesn't ask, kanino to? No, he just picks it up and then he eats it. Feeling mo na bagyo yung buong mesa niyo kasi wala na pagkain. Yeah. Yun.
Seb, what can you say
anyway.
for yourself? Are you going to defend anything?
I mean, if they leave it there, it's not really my fault. So
This
Sila
I
pa
think
may
they have the
kasalanan.
responsibility to save your own food.
Okay.
So, kailangan naka-padlock, basically.
Things are getting spicy here.
Wait, since we're on the topic of food, we're all very big foodies over here. I want to go to Agatha on this. Since you were talking about yung picnic na nasa lamesa, is there one particular food na Seb always steals from you? Yung parati yung ninanakaw sa'yo that you always want to eat, but he always
Oh
gets
my
it first.
God. You know what? There's no particular food because every food that he sees, he devours. I swear. Alam mo, ilang beses kami nag-away dyan. As in, galit na galit ako. And then my parents are like, pabayaan mo yan, growing boy yan. Lahat naman kakainin niya. And I'm like, no, I can't let this pass. This is my food. You can't touch my food. Yun. So syempre yung mga sagot ni Seb is like, dapat hindi mo na lang iniwan sa mesa kung ayaw mo kainin ko. Parang gano'n. So ako pa yung may So yun.
Well, I think
Okay
I'm
lang,
gonna
Seb.
have to get into this and say you can't get a girl hangry. I mean, right? Come on.
Definitely.
Pero kapatid mo naman. So as of now, ligtas
Wow.
ka siguro Seb for now because you're under the same household.
Oh my God,
Sure.
guys, the reason na I brought up yung picnic example was because I ordered picnic, okay, 3 days ago. As in yung malaking picnic na
Yeah.
blue, okay. And then I got from it. Medyo kumain ako ng konti. And then the next night, nakita ko, nawala na siya sa mesa. Yun pala, kinuha na ni Seb. Nasa tabi na ng computer niya and then he was playing. Yun.
Sobrang passionate nung delivery. Ito, ramdam ko yung galit, yung on. Ramdam siya.
Yung competition na sa pagkain na rin, di ba, Luis?
And Seb is just there, smiling and speechless, just accepting.
You see that? He doesn't even know. He doesn't know.
But I'm sure this throughout this entire thing of having these quirks with each other, stealing each other's food, yung harutan, teasing each other, and all of that. You guys always get something good out of it. Does this sort of dynamic help you in your day-to-day life instead of having such an intense dynamic at home? I'll start with you, Seb.
Having a positive relationship with a sibling is much better than having an argument feeling. Like after an argument, you feel bad, parang the anger died out, tapos you're just regretting, ganon. But having a positive relationship, you don't have to worry about any of those, affecting the rest of your day. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Well, so, but going to you naman, Agatha, because Seb gave a very good point about relationship, right? You being the one who's a little more laid back, was there a moment when you sort of noticed that the relationship between you and your brother really matured? Was there any point?
To be honest, we're still immature.
Yun
The
gusto
point
ko.
Yeah. At pag tinanong niyo kami, like, do you not fight na with each other? Like, we're in our early 20s. I'm 23. He's 22 ata. And we still fight. Yeah.
Gusto ko yung may
I
ata, no?
forgot. Basta 97, she said 97. So, if I'm 23, he's 22. For sure. Yeah, so we still fight. 99. Oh no! I forgot. I'm so
Akala mo na
sorry.
talaga
I forgot.
tayo.
I'm so sorry.
Ito na. Bukas wala na yung picnic mo.
Oh my God. Wala na nga eh. Wala na.
Ay.
Tinapan na.
Wala na.
Ubus na. But yeah, actually it helps. It helps kasi for us, we don't really talk about our sport that much. Like sa loob ng bahay. Yeah, it's very surprising kasi diba we're both siblings. Yung third sibling namin, yung bunso. She's also doing sports. Pero we never talk about we never talk about small wins, ganon. Sometimes we do, pero when we eat together in a family table, like for example lunch, dinner, we don't really talk that much about sports. Kasi for us, our life naman, it doesn't necessarily have to revolve around sports. It can also revolve around family, friends, just enjoying your life as an athlete, and also just, enjoying while this pandemic, like while you have the chance pa to stay at home. Kasi di ba pandemic tayo, ganun. It allowed us to spend more time with our family.
Because it will change.
Yeah.
Si Luisa nang paisip nun, I saw your face, you had a flashbacks of reflection.
Yeah,
Parang you jumped into... na-internalize yung sinabi ni Agatha.
No, because I found it so interesting to hear that they don't really talk about sports. And like I said, as we're keeping up with the Wongs, we're finding out that they're all inclined to sports. So to see that they have a lot of other stuff to talk about, it just shows that their relationship isn't built on this common thing that they have, but it's rather on this whole family dynamic that every other family does have. So it's very ordinary, it's very mundane. And even if they do have these wins, even if they have a lot of stuff that they're really proud of, they still find themselves in like this very simple and laid back situation where they could just be their total selves and not be the athletes that they're known to be. So it was really interesting kasi parang it shows na they're really each other's support system inside and outside of the sports that they do.
Yeah, and speaking of support system, I kind of want to put both of you on the spot, throw a curveball at both of you, because we just love doing this on the show. If you were to visualize your sibling in another sport, what would that sport be? I want to start with Seb first. Where do you think Agatha would be? What sport do you think she'd be a champion in or something?
I don't really know. I never really imagined her doing another sport. But if I have to say, siguro swimming. Swimming still, because during her time swimming, she was pretty fast for her age. She was pretty fast. So if she's not doing wushu, I guess if she did fall out of swimming, she'd be a really good swimmer.
Well, okay, I'm gonna defend you, Seba, because I'm gonna tell Agatha she can't say anything food related, any food eating contest or anything like that, just to just to defend you. So Agatha, ikaw naman, what would you say Seb would be in?
Syempre ako ballet. Joke. Hindi.
Masyado matigas ko.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'd pay to see that.
Oh, you won't.
I think football.
Football.
Yeah, football. Kasi he used to be really passionate about football. Tapos, Seb, do you want to tell them why you quit football?
Ay, why not?
Interesting. Go ahead.
I don't like mud.
Hindi, that's not the answer.
Di ba yun? I didn't really like mud.
Iba sabi ni
He broke
ate.
his nose. He broke his nose.
I broke my
Kaya hindi na
my
siya
nose in
pinayagan.
basketball.
Yeah, pero you broke your nose kaya hindi ka na pinayagan nila daddy, I think, mag-soccer. Diba? Tama ba?
No.
Right?
I broke my
No?
nose in basketball.
Yeah, that's
didn't
very
stop
interesting
because
story.
it's so muddy.
Oh my god, this is all mixed up. But anyway, I think football. Yeah,
Football.
Kasi you
Football.
know, yeah, he used to, one time, I remember this, it's a very distinct memory. Parang my dad bought him new soccer shoes. Tapos sabi ng dad ko, wag mong isa-slide sa tiles natin sa bahay kasi mapupudpud siya. And what was the first thing he did because he was so excited? Siyempre, nag-slide siya dun sa tiles natin. And yun, napudpud
You
niya.
told me to
Yeah,
try
I
it
remember
on.
that, I remember that.
How old were you then?
Oh, how old were we?
13.
Grade something or
I was
first year.
young. He told
Yeah,
me
we
to
were
try it
young.
on. It's not my fault the tiles were so slippery.
Yeah,
Louise, I'm
really
sure that you
excited.
do that.
I will not deny nor confirm. No, we've all been there. We've had our dose of fun. Yeah. But you know, it was just super good to hear all these stories for you guys just going back and forth and reminiscing, because I guess for this whole time what I was really able to pick up was that you're really each other's support system, and you really do count on each other for the kulitan and for the serious stuff, because you do know each other so well that, like what we were saying earlier, you're not afraid to give your criticisms and to praise them as well, because you know that whatever comes out is going to be genuine, is going to be something that comes from the heart. And I think that that's what keeps, you know, the relationship that you both have very vibrant and very healthy, because you know when to have fun and you know when to really appreciate each other and lift each other up. So like I said, the Wong household's probably a really vibrant and really fun household to
Teka lang,
be in.
Luisa, parang gusto mo naman pa-adopt, ah. The
Yun
way you're
nga
talking.
eh.
The way you're talking.
Parang after this, I'm gonna make a few calls and
See?
maybe
Boarding
What can I
home
say?
for a while,
Yeah.
learn some tips, and then come back home. But
malay nyo.
Malay nyo. All kidding aside, though, we did touch on what you guys do outside of your respective sports, and just going back to it. Given the whole situation now, how are you guys able to manage, you know, wanting to try new things, focusing on your sport, staying grounded, and still managing the entire situation, given the fact that the sports landscape has changed? I'll start with Agatha this time.
For me, when we were, kasi I think it's my first time to join online competitions. As in this year lang nila in-approve yung online competition for Wushu, kasi it's a very risky thing to do. Kasi for Wushu, it's an exhibition sport yung category ko. So, parang if you do it online, isn't it quite hard to look at the deductions if someone's made a mistake? Ganun. So for me, it was quite stressful every time my coach would say, okay, meron tayong online competition, kailangan nyo mag-shoot ulit ng form. Ganun. Sobrang stressful niya for me kasi it's like going into the actual competition. Pero kasi dun sa category ko, you really have to be put together. Like, kailangan medyo may makeup ka. Kasi sa camera, I look like a ghost. As in, dun sa
I don't
last
think so
vlog
naman.
ko, like I mentioned na I looked super white. Kahit na naka-blush on na ako, like naka-lipstick na ako, I look so white! As in, I was whiter than the pillars dun sa background ko.
Hindi ka daw kasi lumalabas sa kwarto.
Yeah, oh my God, that's what my dad said. Sabi ng dad ko one time na parang, Achi, magpaano ka naman, magpaaraw ka naman. Sobrang puti mo na.
Get some vitamin D.
Yeah, I never go out.
No, but I do want to ask though. I mean, given all of the situation before we get to Seb, because you mentioned, of course, it's all online competition now. How do you keep building yourself up given the current times now? Like, how do you keep your confidence? Because, like you said, you felt like you look pale now that you have to put makeup. Now you have questions about, are they watching the point deductions properly? How do you still stay focused and keep, your self confidence built up?
I just have to find it in me kasi when my first online competition came, I wasn't really expecting much from it kasi I know naman na I did my best pero I didn't really expect to win. So I won my first one. And then, after that, parang my coach kept momentum na after that 1 week of the online competition, he sent me another. Sabi niya, okay, you have to prepare for this, ganito, ganyan. Tapos yun, for me kasi sa Wushu, it's very hard for me. Kasi ever since I was 8, I've been doing Wushu na. So, to go to the gym with no motivation, I'm used to it na. I'm used to like doing a sport with no motivation kasi it's all part of it. Yung sports kasi hindi talaga siya yung passion mo, it will stay there. Pero yung motivation mo each day, it will die. Like one day it will just die and wither. But sometimes it will grow again, ganun siya. So I'm very used to the feeling na when I was shooting for the online competition, parang nagka-complication pa nga yung video ko kasi parang hindi siya pumasok dun sa server ng app na gagamitin namin. And I lost some hope there kasi parang ayoko na lang sumali dun sa event na yun. But my coach said, no, like we have to, ganun. And then I ended up winning that category. So imagine if I didn't enter, sayang yung isang medal. Yun, sometimes it's just the people in your background that really help you, your coach, your family, your friends. They're the ones that really support you. Kahit na, sometimes nahihirapan ka na, pero if they tell you na, yung sa coach ko, they tell you na, sumali ka na, kailangan natin yun. So, madali naman akong kausap, I'll just do it.
No, but what you said, I like the honesty, especially about the part where your motive, because you don't hear that a lot from athletes. When your motivation will just die and it'll grow again. So and especially in your case, you're a medalist. It's nice to hear that type of honesty. But what about you, Seb? Because we know right now that this situation has changed. You're studying, and then you're still doing all these other things and having that determination to train like every single day, basically. How do you keep yourself, I know it's a cliche question, motivated and focused, because you have to be.
So I'm in that point in my career that I haven't achieved anything my sister has achieved. So NCAA medals aren't cutting it for me. So I wanted that international level. So I don't think I'm gonna be demotivated anytime soon unless I reach that point in my career. And having a sister that's a 3-time gold medalist really motivates me.
But with that current setup though, is there anything that right now, because it seems like you really want to keep reaching forward, which is absolutely incredible given the fact that you train like almost every single day. Is there one particular achievement that you're most proud of at the moment?
Right now, the recent competition I had, I dropped my time by a second, and I'm really happy about that. In my sport, a second is pretty huge.
Yeah.
And in both events, I'm 1 second away in the qualifying times for SEA Games. So I'm still working on that this coming January or February, I think.
Nice. I know a reason why I reacted that big before we go to Luisa was because my first sport was actually swimming because I had asthma growing up. So hearing that 1 second thing was like, whoa. And there's a reason why we did not pursue swimming in the family. But anyway, I'm sure Luisa has other things that she wants to ask.
Yeah, I actually want to bounce back to what Agatha said earlier about how she kind of has learned how to function without the motivation and just doing it because she already knows how to do it even without the motivation. Because I think it was really good to see that part of the athletes where we always see them with the medals on the pedestal being praised, but we tend to forget that they're humans as well, and they have those moments when they just really are at the bottom, and we might see them on their A game, but behind the scenes they're really not. So I just want to throw it back to Agatha and say, and ask rather, in those times when you really feel like you have no motivation, how do you bring yourself back up? Do you just try to tell yourself that you have to finish the day, you have to pull through? Or is there anything that gives you the inspiration or reminds you of why you're here in the first place?
To be honest, I think dumating ako dun sa phase ng life ko na parang, every morning I woke up, I dreaded it. I dreaded going to training. I think that was in 2019. I was pinadala kami sa China for training, and it was so isolated for me kasi I was the only girl in the team aside from the youngest girl my youngest teammate who is a girl. She had to go earlier, 2 months earlier than me, so I had to stay there mga 4 months. It was very isolating kasi dun sa province na pinuntahan namin sa China, nobody really knew how to speak English. And then, lahat ng teammates ko boys. So every weekend, they would just lock themselves in their room, manonood sila, iinom sila, ganon. Ako naman, hindi kasi ako, I'm kind of an introvert, pero sometimes I do like to go out during the weekends, which ayaw naman ng teammates ko kasi medyo sila, I think homebody ata sila. Yun, so, I found it hard every morning to wake up, tapos to walk to the gym, tapos nandun lahat ng Chinese athletes, they have friends, ganun. Tapos I'm such an introvert na each time I walk into the gym, I find myself very anxious. Tapos I always overthink na parang what if this athlete's mad at me for some reason. That's so weird to think kasi, being an overthinker talaga, yun yung mga pumapasok sa isip ko. Pero eventually, parang tiniis ko siya. There's no method as to how I really cope with that kind of yung parang demotivated phase of my career. It's just that you really have to sacrifice. Kailangan mo talaga siyang tiisin. And then you'll realize in the end it's worth it. So nung SEA Games nanalo ko, tas naisip ko na okay, yung experience ko sa China was all part of this whole process. It was part of like me growing and me realizing that I can still do it even though I'm isolated, even though I'm far away from home.
It's so uplifting to hear how people find themselves in these situations that we all relate to, and it actually does happen to the best of us. So I also like how you mentioned that you're an introvert and there are times that you really can't find yourself fitting into the crowd. So I want to relate it back to Wushu. I wanted to ask, can you say that Wushu has also helped you boost that confidence as an introvert?
Yeah, I would say so. Kasi sa Wushu, since it's an exhibition sport, you don't really need to talk. Which is really fun. Yeah, it's really ironic. Pero eventually, nung nagsa-start kasi ako mag-Wushu, sobrang mahiyain ko. Tapos I always thought na sobrang pangit ng form ko. Parang all the other kids younger than me, all the other athletes in the national training pool, they're better than me. Pero wala. For some reason, I just kept going kasi I just really like doing it. And then yun, nakita ko nag-improve ako. Like, after each competition, na-realize ko na, okay, I can do this. I can go up to 4th place. I can go up to 3rd place until umakyat ako ng 1st place. So, parang for me, yung Wushu, it really contributed to my confidence. Pero hindi siya malaking contribution. It's like crumb by crumb. So each time I go up a place in a competition, parang it feeds my confidence. Pero I'm not really confident in a sense na medyo mayabang ganun. I think yung confidence ko is more on it's more on self-growth, and it's more on realizing na I can do these kinds of things even if, mahiyaan ako, even if I used to be really bad at Wushu before, ganun.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I kind of want to hear from Seb now, because if Agatha's an introvert, I want to know if Seb's an introvert or an extrovert, and how does that play into swimming? Does that affect it in a way?
I think I find myself both. I have a really good relationship with my teammates. I they're my friends that I play with online too. So we have this healthy relationship, and my competitions really, you don't always win. For me, in my experience, I don't always win. I was never the I was never the what do you call this. I was never the one to win everything, so to speak. But what I did was I just focused on the little things, I guess. Just like my sister did, focus on the small things, and eventually it will affect the big things in a race. I trained what what I was bad at. So I focused on my strengths first, and then my weaknesses followed. So I worked on that. So ayun.
Yeah.
Well, given the fact, sorry, Luisa, I just wanted to ask. Well, given the fact that you seem like an incredibly focused person, was there ever a time when you had to tell yourself to sort of scale back and loosen up? Because as you know, 100% sure, is sports can get pretty intense. So was there ever a time when you had to tell yourself, "No, okay, like I might need to take maybe a day off, or I might need to do something else to loosen up"?
It never really crossed my mind. I do have days off. On some given days, I have swim and land workouts. And I look forward to the days that I don't have land workouts. Because after swim, I get home. Then, ayun, laro na, simulan ko na, di ba? I get to
Yeah.
unwind agad. So I look forward to those days. Mas lalo na Sunday. Pwede talaga ako magpuyat na Sunday.
Luisa, I'm jealous of these two because for the ages they both are at, you guys have incredible balance. Honestly,
Yeah,
you have
diba?
incredible balance. You have to start talking for me, Luisa. I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I totally, because like they're super well rounded. They have, like, this is for real, guys. They're not just buttering you up. But
Yeah.
you have a dose of everything that you need to keep you grounded, and you don't lose sight of what really matters to you. You know, the little things are as big as the big things. So I think it really does pay off to have that dynamic at home, and to get that kind of discipline from the sports that you guys are doing. So
Yeah.
I think it just really does help everything. It, like, what you learn from the sport that you're doing, the discipline, the mindset that you have, the drive that you have, it translates into the other aspects of your life, and it just naturally happens. Am I right?
Yeah, and honestly, if you have anybody watching this, if you're not convinced to get into sports, or if you're not convinced to bring your kids into sports, I don't know what else we can do for you aside from listening to these two. So you guys should have like those random podcasts every now and then. It would be fun. But I guess before we move on to something really fun, I do have one more question for both of you. And because we have a lot of people who are Gen Z who are watching this right now. And for hearing it from both of you, who are both multi-talented, multi-awarded, well-rounded, what is your advice to Gen Z when it comes to building self-confidence and going after what they want? So let's start with Seb first.
So my advice is, you don't have to be good at it right away. No one's that good. What you can do is, for today, just focus on one thing that you can do for tomorrow, and just continue the process. So increment. You can start small, and then eventually you'll be better at the sport, just like you always wanted.
Okay, before we get to Agatha, you need to put that on a shirt, man. Focus on one day that you can do for tomorrow. Focus on one thing that you can do for tomorrow. That should be some one of your taglines.
Get me one. I'm gonna pre-order that soon.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna order that hoodie if you put one up, man. Agatha, what about you?
To be honest, sang-ayon ako dun sa sinabi ni Seb. Kasi ang daming, ever since Wushu was featured in the SEA Games, a lot of people have asked me if it's too late for them to start wushu, and I always tell them na no, it's not, kasi anyone can do sports regardless of age. Syempre, if for example, if you're a bit older and you want to compete, it's also possible. Pero syempre, for your body, hindi siya, maybe some of the moves you can't do kasi, you know, it's very strenuous on your body or parang mabibigla yung joints mo, something like that. Pero I think yung advice ko talaga for Gen Z is that when you think na you're not improving, you are. You just don't see it. Kasi others might see it, pero you yourself won't. And you know what? You have to keep going. Lalo na dun sa panahon na to. Kasi, everyone thinks they're failing at something, pero it's not true. You know, I've seen that in myself even before. I think I was, I think I was failing when I was in college, and na-realize ko na no, I'm not pala. It's just that parang it was the season na parang it was the phase na parang my career was just about to catapult itself to the top. Parang ganun siya. So, sometimes you won't really see your achievements creeping up on you, pero they are. So you just have to keep going, just like what Seb said. You have to keep on focusing on one thing, tapos just putting that as a priority, and then you'll see, like, in a matter of months, makikita mo, like, you'll be able to do a push-up, you'll be able to do this kind of jump, you'll be able to get to your time, yung mga ganun.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna try to, before we move on to the really fun part, because we want to respect your time, of course, we're gonna get to the really fun part after this. I'm gonna do, guys, you can criticize me, I'm gonna do my best to badly summarize a lot of what we discussed today. So, first off, with what both of you said, first off with Seb is, do one thing today that will help you tomorrow. And in the case of Agatha naman is your progress that you don't notice, but it's actually happening, and you can just feel your way forward. So even if you feel like you're failing, you're still moving forward. And on top of that, I think it's safe to say that you've both promoted healthy competition in family, always having the right kind of support system, and not to take each other too seriously. Tease each other, prod each other. It's okay in the middle of a competition to talk to your sister about food. Para lang tumawa siya.
Maybe steal some food too.
And steal some food too. So at least we know what to send both of you. Whenever we send you a gift in the future, it'll be food. Para tigisa na kayong dalawa. And last but not the least, progress builds confidence. And with that, I think Luisa has something very fun she wants to share with both of you.
Yes, this is super exciting because we've really covered a lot, and I think it's time for us to take a step back, and try to have a more chill part into this conversation. It is time for our next segment, something that we like to call Crunch Time. Okay, so Agatha and Seb, we are going to be throwing some questions to you guys, and you're just gonna have to answer as fast as you can. Don't need to think about it a lot, just the first thing that pops into your mind, that uncomplicated, and you don't need to explain. But if something just seems a bit juicy, we might need to ask some further questions.
Yeah, we might need to clarify certain questions, but for the most part, the part of Crunch Time is just answering everything as fast as you can. But before we get to that, of course, we'd like to remind everybody listening right now to make sure to check out all our social media pages, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify at Gold Diggers PH, and also, I think with that, it's time for us to get started.
Yes, I'm excited. Are you guys ready? I know I am. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay, it's time for Crunch Time. Okay, first, pick a side, salad or soup?
Soup.
Salad.
Have life rewind or life pause button?
Rewind.
Rewind.
Ooh, okay, this one's a bit interesting. Love or career?
Career.
Career.
Oh, wow! Mawalan ng internet o mawalan ng phone?
Internet.
Internet.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay, ito naman. Beauty or brains?
Beauty.
Brains.
Gusto ko tinignan ka talaga. Sunny or rainy? Sunny or rainy?
Rainy.
Sunny.
Okay, this one, I want to know your pre-game song. What are you guys listening to?
Travis Scott.
Ooh.
Travis Scott.
Bang My Head. Bang My Head by this artist. I forgot the name.
I know what you're talking about. Like bang my head against the wall. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Okay, a favorite color.
Blue.
Purple.
Favorite dessert?
Tiramisu.
Oh
Ooh.
my god, I don't know. Anything matcha.
Ito, muna ako.
And you know who to- okay. Okay, even though the clock is done, we want to finish all the questions. Ito, celebrity crush.
Nadine Lustre.
Ay,
Oh.
Kira
may
Knightley.
answer.
Here. Ooh.
Okay, ito naman. Hello or goodbye?
Hello.
Goodbye.
Wow. Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Sunset.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Cat.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, this one. Kung ulam ka, ano ka?
Lechon?
Sisig. Sisig ako.
Sisig.
Okay, this one, guys. Answer honestly, please. No judgment. Who's your favorite sibling?
TL.
Yeah.
Walang hesitation. Okay. Ito, last question because we want to get to this one. Hashtag ng buhay mo.
Hashtag hard work.
Oh.
Hashtag para sa bayan.
Wow.
Wow.
The grind never stops. The grind never stops. All right, so that is all the time that we have for crunch time, and we have now reached the end of the episode. But before we go, of course, we need to hear some final messages. So is there anything that you guys would like to tell those viewing or listening right now? Maybe we can ask Seb.
So anyone out there working hard, you can progress. You can know if you're progressing if it stops being easy.
Stops being easy. Wow. Okay, that's a very strong message. What about you, Agatha?
I would like to thank you guys for inviting me and Seb in this podcast kasi we learned a lot from you and also we had fun, bickering with each other. Yeah, but my last word siguro would be, just keep your discipline even if you're demotivated, even if you don't have inspiration kasi someday you'll realize na you're already on top without even realizing it, all because you kept your discipline.
Wow. Thank you so much to both of you for bringing us into your lives, bringing us into your homes, your mindset, and for inspiring the current generation and inspiring us. But to everybody watching, teammates, thank you so much. That's it for this episode. Now, if you enjoyed our content, there's more where that came from. Catch up on all the past episodes on our Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify channels. And feel free to send us suggestions for who you want to see next as our next guests. But for now, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and share all of our pages.
And that ends today's episode. Watch out for the next, where we'll be featuring the one-armed Mamba, Katan. Catch us on the next episode of The Goal Diggers Youth, where your game is our game.